avenues in their art gallery, and today I'm going to be talking to Najil Ali and interviewing some artists. Najil Ali was a Palestinian cartoonist. He's been described as the best Palestinian cartoonist and probably the best known cartoonist in the Arab world. He's best known as the creator for the character Handala, who has become an icon. He also produced over 40,000 drawings. In 1979, Najil Ali was elected president of the League of Arab Cartoonists. He also received the first prize in the Arab cartoonist exhibitions held in Damascus in 1979 and 1980. Hello everyone, welcome back to a new segment. I'm with Emil today and she's a drawer and we're gonna ask her a few questions about comics. So we have a couple of questions for you today, and again, thank you for coming here.
You're welcome.
And my first question is, what are comics exactly?
Okay, so comics is a type of cartoon art. It's about combining both the art with the text. So usually you write a story from characters, you create an environment for them. So for example, my comics are about my characters. I created my own world and I tell my own stories through the comics.
Interesting. Another question is, many people confuse characteristics between comics. And what's the difference between comics and characteristics to tell them apart?
Okay, so the difference is, like, comics, they depend on, as I said, about telling a story. Caricature, it's about just drawing like one silly comic that criticizes something, or it makes jokes about a certain situation. So comics are mostly longer in form. You can have a full book about a certain comic, and usually it has reoccurring characters, they have interactions, they have many adventures together, for example.
Cool. And our third question is, did you get any support when you started your professional career? For example, parents, relatives, friends?
Of course, yeah, I did have support from my family. Most of my family, they drew art, but cartoon art was new for them. So like I was kind of teaching them, and kind of like they're supporting me in a way. I was telling them that I wanted to do this because it's something new and I don't see it a lot in Kuwait. I also get support from my teachers, from other artists, my friends. So I'm really grateful for the support.
Okay, and the fourth question is, you mentioned how you got it from your teachers, so you started at an early age, that must mean. When did you start drawing exactly, like when you started drawing comics?
Okay, so like I can't remember a time where I wasn't drawing. So I started drawing like since like maybe 3 years old, but for comics I started when I was in middle school. There were lots of situations happening in school and I was drawing myself and with my friends, just interacting with the teachers, funny comics about exams, about stuff we do after school, and like these silly things.
And the last question is, how did you improve on drawing?
Before I used to buy a lot of books, I used to read a lot of comics. So I learned like the art style from different artists, learned about storytelling. I also studied English literature in college, so that's helped me writing the stories. I bought, as I said, many art books to learn how to draw properly. And then when I had internet, I used to visit a lot of websites and watch a lot of videos about drawing. I follow a lot of artists on social media, so I can learn from them.
Oh, that was very interesting. Thank you. Sadly, we've come to the end of the segment. I very much enjoyed talking to you, and we really hope we get to see you soon. And once again, thank you for telling us all about comic. See you in the next segment.
Thank you.
And now we're back at the art gallery with artist Tariq, and he's going to be answering some questions for us about the caricature. So once again, thank you for coming here today. And we're going to start with the questions we have. Our first question is, tell us about the caricature.
Caricature is a drawing that combines fun and colors and a subject that we all combine in one drawing, and that we can just express an idea and just to talk about anything that you even inspire from other places or another place. So we can just talk about anything about it just by drawing.
Interesting. I heard you said ideas. What makes you get your ideas and inspirations for a comic?
Well, most of my ideas are just, I like to inspire them by myself. I don't like to read much of newspapers, so I don't like to follow the politics and every these things. So I just try to think about things that or situations that happens in on the day, and just express them in cartoon.
Interesting. And what's the purpose of this type of drawing? Like, why do you like to draw it so much?
Drawing makes me feel so comfortable. Let's say if I'm angry, I can just be relieved by drawing. If I'm, let's say, sad, I can just forget anything about with drawing. I can just express an idea with drawing. I can just express any thoughts with my drawings. So it's helped me so much, even, let's say, professionally or educationally, it was so much benefiting.
So it's beneficially, like, even mentally, like that?
Yeah, so much.
Another question is, what about your beginnings of character? How did you, when did you start drawing, and did anyone support you? How was the process?
Well, I started drawing at my age. I was 12 years old. I started as a challenge between me and my cousin. So he started drawing before me, and then I started just to draw with him, and then we together started to draw many things about cartoons and caricatures. For the next years, I kept on drawing caricatures and just improving myself and being more creative in this art.
So it turned from a challenge to a career.
Yes.
Now, do you consider drawing a hobby or a job?
For myself, I consider it as a hobby. I don't like to have it as a job. I like just to do it whenever I want.
So you express yourself whenever you want. Interesting. We sadly come to the last question, but our last question is, what are the characteristics of a what is the characteristics of an artist?
First of all, you have to get inspiration, and you have to be creative in his ideas. So he has a wide imagination. He doesn't have to be, let's say, considering on just one subject. He has to be think about whatever he can think about. So sometimes I can just draw about a certain idea. Sometimes I draw about an idea that's not even in the subject.
So you can add whatever you want. It's just expressing yourself. Anytime. Sadly, we've come to the end of the segment. I really enjoyed talking to you today, and thank you so much for telling me all about caricature. And once again, thank you for coming here and telling us all about caricature.
Thank you so much.
أول شيء بسم الله، أنا كادي وليد الصدي، رسامة صغيرة من ذوي الإعاقة البصرية، عمري 16 سنة. بدايتي بالرسم كانت وايد بسيطة، كنت أرسم كهواية يعني تضيع وقت، بس أهلي قالوا لي إن رسمك وايد زين، ليش ما تطورينه تنشرينه. أنا كنت أبي أسوي هذا الشيء، بس ما كان عندي الجرأة الكافية إني أسوي هذا الشيء، بس الحمد لله قدرت أكسر هذا الحاجز، وقمت أطلع للعالم، وقاموا أبلاتي ياخذوني معاهم بمعارض. رسمت وايد رسومات، ومنهم هذول الرسومات اللي خصيصا اختاروهم للمعرض. وملهمي ومعلمي بالرسم هو محمد ثلاب وبدر بن غيث. كل مرة أطالع رسوماتهم أحس بمشاعر إني ودي أرسم بأي وقت يصير. وأشكر كافيه 312 على تحقيق حلمي إني أنشر رسماتي وأشتغل بكافيه. وطبعا إذا حبيتوا تكتشفون رسوماتي زيادة، عندكم أكاونتي بالإنستغرام، ورسمي طبعا الكاريكاتير الكرتون، وأحب أعبر فيه عن مشاعري. وشكرا.